Welcome to Sydney Reflect, Sunayana Yogi.
Thank you, Big Case, for having me.
How are you today?
Fantastic. And how are you?
I'm good, man. I've been good. I've been busy actually. Although it's been like a lockdown and we're inside, we can't go out, but I've been utilizing my time properly actually. Been fun. How about you?
I guess it's the same.
Mm-hmm.
Just busy working from home and also working on few other projects and
Mm.
more of always doing something at home like read books or write or even like do house chores. So
Mm.
it keeps you busy and going on.
Yeah, man. You need to keep yourself busy because if you just stay silent and don't do anything, I don't know with others, but with me, if I stay silent, my mind starting like overthinking everything, like it always needs, it's like my mind needs to do something all the time, and if I don't do anything proper like a physical thing, it starts doing things in itself inside my mind, you know
Hmm.
so I always try to keep myself busy. So yes,
That's the nature of mine.
yeah, that's what we're here to talk about neuro-linguistic program. But before we get into that, we always like to share our journey as our international students. So since you are an
Mhm.
international student, tell us your story. Like, what was it like for you when you started, and what is it for you like right now? What have you learned? What was the journey like?
Well, when the journey started, I didn't even know that
Mm-hmm.
I would end up coming here and, choosing to be an international student. I was just high school graduate and, just preparing for my medical exam. But then I was
Mm-hmm.
like, with all friends and influences, I was like, hey, just let's give it a try, how it goes. And it's not too bad,
Mm-hmm.
So it just happened like, a couple of months. And then I ended up being here in Sydney. And first couple of months were just like
Mm-hmm.
getting to know where things are, where is city, where's my uni, like where are the buildings, because all the buildings are everywhere. I'm trying to navigate, like the timetable. So all these things for the next few months and trying to find a job, like part-time job that I could do. And my first job was at McDonald's here in Brookvale. So yeah, so that's how it started, and
Mm-hmm.
then here I am now.
No, I mean, how long did you, how long did time or did it take for you to find your first job here in Australia?
I think about 2 to 3 months.
2 to 3 months before, so you had no job at all for
Yeah.
2 3 months.
No, I didn't.
Uh-huh. Okay.
But the funny thing was, even though I got the job, but
Mm-hmm.
then because I was before when I was 18 and after 18 plus,
Mm-hmm.
there is like a little switch in hours because I was working in McDonald's.
Okay.
So I used to get more of the night shift, and it would be like in the middle of the night, like 12 to like 3
Uh-huh.
or like 4 or 5, and like it was kind of like annoying. Like you have to travel all the way. I used to live in I think it was that time I was in western suburbs, and
Mm-hmm.
to travel all the way to northern beaches. But it is what it is. You just grow with it, I guess, and you gain confidence because you're putting yourself out there and doing the thing
Mm-hmm.
that you have to do.
Yeah.
So that was my first job.
Mm-hmm. And what happened after that?
Oh, well, after that, slowly, the uni was going on, making new friends from different like culture, and just kind of
Mm-hmm.
like a little bit of pressure because pressure not in a sense of study, more in a sense
Mm-hmm.
of like trying to mix with the blend with the culture.
Blend with the culture.
That was
Yeah.
more tougher because, for example, for me when I actually went to like friend like for example, I went out with friends and like
Mm-hmm.
they would talk about something, I would talk about something, and it was just like, hey, what is this, how I'm going to get this, or what topics should I talk about so that we both can have some common thing to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So just blending of that, getting to know that culture was a little bit tough, but it was for another like 6 7 months, and then slowly, yeah, getting used to it, and here we are, I think, having a nice beautiful community around.
Mm-hmm. So, how has your lifestyle changed? Like, what was it like when you came here and for the first, like 3 4 months? and like right now?
Well, I remember of one incident in particular.
Uh-huh.
I remember I was with my cousins when I first came in DY, and we were about to cross the road, and how they had this little button to press before you cross. I was about to cross like that, and then my mother forced me, like, "You're not supposed to cross like that." I said, like, "No, there were no vehicles coming in. I can cross." She was like, "No, I never do that. You gotta press that thing, and then you have to wait for the signal, and then you cross." I'm never ever going to forget that.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
actually learned that. I actually used to make like daily vlogs, and I actually had it in my vlog to like, it was a new thing for me, like you have to press that and it opens and you have to go. That was a new thing.
yeah.
And yeah, somehow I wasn't even confident to cross the road properly. Like out here, when you're in the zebra crossing, it's always like you have the priority, but you were not confident when you are here for the first time.
Yeah.
So looking back at that and
something.
now, what is something that you have learned? What is something that you would like to give out to any international student who is already here or who's about to come here?
I would say don't limit yourself. Go and explore the possibilities because, you know, if you don't have experience, you'd hardly know what is right for you or what is not right for you. I'm not telling you to go and jump in everything, but just like, for example, yourself, you are passionate about photography, videography and stuff. What if you always said, oh, my profession is I'm in engineering and I'm sitting on, like, sticking into this, I want this. But rather than saying that this is something I like, let me give it a go, let me give it a shot. So similar like that, if you have something that you're passionate about, you want to do it, I think you just, try to find those ways to engage. And especially being international, even more tougher because we got to pay our fee, we got to, pay our rent, we got to pay our, health insurance and stuff, like everything, So basically supporting ourselves, and also you have like all these pressure for exams, assignments, and like
you are pausing. It's a very
especially
bad
all
net
COVID stuff
right
going
now.
on at the time. Must be, it's like, it's like you're punching back and everybody just
Your
punching
net
from
is really
everywhere.
bad right
So
now. Can you hear me?
I can still hear you.
But your net just went off. What happened? I don't know. You were just like, yeah, that happened. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe the reception, I guess now.
Your net. Yeah, go on. What you were saying?
That's what I can say.
Yeah, there's something wrong
So
with the internet
I
for sure.
was about to say, like, yeah, that's okay. So what I feel like is, to be an international student, it's like you are a punching bag. Just an example, because if any changes happens politically or financially or any level of changes, like public health sector or whatever it is, so who get affected easily is us, because we are so in vulnerable state. Not in one way, but in multiple way. We are vulnerable financially, emotionally, mentally, in terms of like having your family and friends. We don't have it here, because so let's assume someone comes from overseas to this place. You don't just make friends in like a couple of months. You can make friends, but you wouldn't make a friend that has built that trust, that level of relationship, that they can come and help you out. So it takes like years and like to build that relationship and to come to that point where you feel that okay, you belong to this place. So being international, it's not an easy thing, but definitely an experience to have worth for. And I would encourage people, whoever are looking forward to come over and be international, go for it.
It's hard.
But then you got to have this mindset that you'll be like a punching bag and you can be punched from anywhere.
You need
just be prepared
to realize all those things. Whenever you're coming here, you need to make your own analysis. You need to see what are the good things of being here, and then what are the bad things of being here, and you'll have to make an analysis. You just can't make your decision based on one single friend who is here and who's saying that yes, everything is good, it's happy and fun. You need to see both sides. Although there are things out here which it's somehow luxury to people out there back in our country, but there are also hard days. We have to work in the same amount. You have to bear and work with the same kind of amount of pressure, So yeah, you need to see both sides before you come here.
Yeah, but then contrary to that, what happens is not, all people think in that way. That's another thing. You know why we don't think in that way? That's another thing. Because what happens is our mind creates this fake reality that, whatever we want, why we desire the energy, the focus goes on that side. And even though that little part of you is like, maybe there could be something, go and check, go and do this. But we still go with that, a whole high energy, and we are like, no, that's fine. I can trust this process and I can go on. So I would be like, okay, even though you have your intuition and everything, but always, be conscious and then check pros and cons, how things are over there.
Yeah. I think with these people, they just don't want to do a lot of work. They just want to let someone else do the work and just give them the money and, not do your own research and anything, and later on complain that they didn't provide you the right services or they didn't tell you about something. That is your responsibility too, man. I mean, you're going to a different country. You are going to be living there in a completely different world. You have to prepare yourself somehow. You just can't depend upon someone else to do that, And no one can actually teach you that completely. That's the experience I've had. Like, I did my research before I came here. But no matter how much research you do, there is always be that part where you wouldn't understand things or you wouldn't know things until and unless you are here yourself and face it yourself. Because again, all of the situation is the same for different people depending on their personality and their everything. It's different, So there's always that part. You have to do your proper research and know everything, so that at least you have the basic idea and you can manage the rest of the things when you come here. Right?
Right, absolutely. And also, I really want to stress this is one part is like, we know, like you said, like we wouldn't know those things that actually you are meant to come here and experience, and then only you'll get to know. So be open for that, be open for that, being opening means when you come here and when you go through this kind of experiences, that could be good, that could be bad, or that could be awkward. But that little thought need to amplify at that time and say you like, hey, this is what I signed up for, and I'm not giving up. So at that time, when you already have that thought process beforehand, what happens is when you face that situation, that little thought would be like amplifying and saying, hey, I'm there for you, and we signed up for this and we're not backing off.
One of the first things I talked about in TEDx was that is building your mindset. Like, we are going to talk more about this again in the Neuro-Linguistic program itself, but it's about mindset. Like, it's about layers, as you said, and somehow you need to build that mindset that I can do this, I will be able to do this, and no one else, whatever they say, they are not going to influence me. Because also you need to know your limitations. Again, you can't just be ignorant and say I'm right all the time. But you also need to build that mindset that whatever you're trying to do or thinking to do, it is possible and you can do it, and not anyone else could somehow motivate you or influence you to not do it. Because when I came here at the beginning, there was this guy who was just here for like 6 months, and somehow he thought of himself so much of superior than me, and there were other people who were like saying that I couldn't do stuff that I wanted to do. I actually learned this thing also hard way, in the sense that you can actually do whatever you want, because this is something that I realized now, looking back at how I was passionate about music, but I didn't continue it because I think there was a lot of influences from people. There was this thing that you can't have your legs in both field and do good in both field, which is, I think, something that needs to change. I totally don't believe in that. If you have your mindset, you can, again, you can't have in everything, but you can choose at least 2 or 3 and actually work on that and build them regularly. You need to prioritize things. Like, this is my first priority, and this is where I'm going to give most of my time. But except than that,
now I can
keep continuing.
Think of, like the not podcast, the TED talk that was organized, the one that we went to see. Remember, there was this whole topic about multipotential light. I don't know if you remember or not, but multipotential light. So these are this group of people that love to do multiple things simultaneously. Okay. So there are these people. So normally what we are told is, you know, you got to choose one field and focus on that. Well, you can't say no to that, but there are people that actually do that, and those category of people are called that.
Okay.
So, and I was the most happiest when I thought of it that day. I was like, yeah, because I'm the crazy one too. I'm everywhere too.
Yeah. Who in whose speech was that? Was it?
I can't exactly remember, but it was somewhere around the end of the story.
There was this lady who talked about like poppy syndrome or something like that. Was she the one?
I can't figure out who was it, but I clearly remember me and my other friends. We were very happy when we actually got to know that it exists and we do exist. Meaning, you know, like yeah, that actually describes us.
I actually
now be proud of yourself. I
am proud of myself because this is something actually again. This again links back to the same thing, like how I got frustrated from music and I didn't continue it. But there was a time after that where I decided that okay, I might not have any special talent of its own, but I'll develop my own talent, and that is being a jack of all and master of none. That's my talent, you know. I'm a jack of all and master of none, and that's what I believed in, and that's what I kept on trying and continuing right now here. As you can see, like within this my time of being an international student, I was doing my studies, I was paying my bills and loan, but I was also trying to give time to things that I love to do, you know, because it's always possible. It's about time management. You'll have to prioritize things. Maybe you wouldn't be able to do it on a daily basis, but you know, whenever you can have, even if you have like this half an hour a week, do what you love to do, you know, like continue, learn something.
Absolutely, yeah. That's how it's supposed to be.
So all of this actually can be somehow explained through neuro-linguistic programming, right? So tell us what is.
I have this. I have heard this saying from, I think that's from Tony Robbins. What is, like, you know, life in a way, or is life is basically growth. We're not talking a really broader view, but in terms of what we do every day. So what is life? Life is growth. You know, so if we don't grow, means the life ends. Yeah. So if we don't nurture ourselves every day, so if you don't do it, means what? It's going to die. That's as simple as that. So this is what Tony Robbins says, and I think it's very practical. So it doesn't matter what you do. If you want it for a long term, then definitely you need to know either there's growth, or if there's no growth, means it's dead. That's how you have to think. So coming back to neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP in short form. So I joined neuro-linguistic programming back in 2018.
When did you come in here? I didn't get that.
I have been here in 2014.
14, okay. It's been 6 years. All right.
Yeah. So 2018, I was introduced to this course, and I didn't think of anything else. Straight away jumped in it. Because brain science is something I've always been very passionate about. So what neuro-linguistic programming is, in simple way, is neuro means definitely brains, your whole system of, like, you know, nerves, how they go. And linguistic means your language. So you are using this language to anchor your brain, how they fire and wire. So that's how it is. To simplify, that's what neuro-linguistic programming is. So programming is definitely what you do. You edit things, you add things, you take off things that you don't need, you know. So that is what neuro-linguistic programming does. And so it's a part of neuroscience. So which actually helps you build that, you know, rewiring of the way you think, or the belief system that you have, to install, then, you know, to get it out of your system. That's what neuro-linguistic programming is.
Okay. So how does it work? Like, what do they do, or what does it look like, you know, in general layman terms?
Okay. Okay. For example, how would I say is like you said, being mentally strong. What is being mentally strong? You said before coming here to Australia, students should, you know, have a research and be mentally prepared or strong. What do you mean by being mentally prepared and being mentally strong?
So for me, being mentally prepared,
what do you do for that?
Strong means I would do my research, I would talk to people and find out what the situation is like here. And it's not from one particular person, but I will try to ask different people from different background with different perspective or different mindset, and gain that knowledge and build up my own like theory, like, okay, this is what it's going to be like, this is how I should be prepared, and these are the things that, because I remember what I did was, when I heard that in Australia you have to work for like 12 hours or more, and it's like a very physical or pressurizing job, I actually used to wake up early morning and do morning work at least 5 kilometers run every day, just because it would be helpful for me to work those long hours. So that's like being mentally and physically prepared.
Exactly. So now here I can take you how it happens. So you being able to work 12 hours, you're already rewiring your body, because your body is not hasn't been prepared before. So now you're preparing, you're warming up for that 12 hours before. So what is that? That's actually also a form of neurolinguistic programming, let's say. You're already doing that. So for you, you might not realize to get up and to do that exercise, whatever time you wake up early in the morning, let's say 5 o'clock, you did not just decide, okay, I'm getting up 5 o'clock and I'm doing. No, there was lots of thought that went into your brain. You did lots and lots of self-thoughts, talking to yourself, in life, the most you talk is not with other people, with yourself.
Yeah.
So you did that talk, and that talk went in so long that end of the day, what happened is you're like, okay, I'm taking this action. So it went to another level, from one little thought to multiple thoughts, multiple level of self-thoughts, like self-talk leading to self-talk. And then what happens? You went to action, and then you rewired your whole body. First, you started with that talk, then rewired your body, and you made it ready and you prepared. So when you came here, you did not feel as much pressure as you could have felt if you haven't done that.
Yeah.
So that is a little example. Like you said, your journey, this is also part. But to accelerate any goals, for example, you can use neuro-linguistic programming to help achieve those goals.
Okay.
Even, for example, if you want to lose weight, I actually designed my own hypnotherapy session, and I used to play it every day before going to bed, and in the morning before I
What
get
did you
up.
do?
And that was in last year lockdown.
What was it like? What did you have some recordings or something like that?
Yeah, I just audio record it. So you just make this whole thing out of yourself, because I did hypnotherapy and channel therapy and stuff as well. So I made my own a whole session for especially design on how I am and what self-talk I do. And so I used to play it in the morning and before, going to bed, because what happens is in those time frames, there is this little thin layer between conscious and unconscious mind that's called critical factor. So that critical factor needs to open up so that, all the information that you want your unconscious to absorb, can absorb. So that critical factor actually opens up when you are in this state where you're half awake and half asleep. So hypnosis actually helps you to open that critical factor. So that's when you actually insert all the information that you actually want to apply in your life. So that was my way of doing. So that's how I ended up making that, and and then the results were amazing. It doesn't happen like that in one day. So
your screen just shrinked out. What happened?
Okay, still the network thing.
Yeah, it says your network bandwidth is like.
I think there is something going on. I only got little notification on unstable network, but then it just disappeared.
All right, go on. That's right.
So that's how neuro-linguistic programming is. You can actually use it for little things to bigger things. For example, being decisive. So taking big decisions in your life. So you can use those tools. Basically,
So you're saying that you can actually teach yourself that, like how to achieve your goals better, but through this programming. So okay,
that's what you do. And you can also help people do it with the same
How techniques. Do you do that?
So what happens is, if I'm doing for myself, I would, like I said, I'll see what areas of my life. Basically what we do, we just divide our life into different areas, like health, finances, career, relationship, family. So you just break this down, your friends, and then you just dive more deep into it. You know, what I want, you take a reference point. This is what me is and where I am. That's where you start.
Okay? Based on all those factors you just said.
Yeah, all those things you see. So you divide all this. So, for example, with my study or my career, where I am. So I'm a fresh graduate. I just got my first job. You know, this is where I am. But where I want to be, you know, in next 5 years or next 3 years. So you can just draw this reference point for yourself somewhere in the future. This is what I want to be. This is where I am. So in that way, what you do is, so you don't only choose for one thing, so you choose for your health, whatever you want to work on, and then you measure yourself. So what will it take for me to be this person to that person? Because basically, who is changing here? Not the environment, it's you changing, you making decisions, you taking actions, you changing your habits, isn't it? So you do that. And what happens is, your first thing is you visualize, this is what I want, this is who I am now. The second step is you go and find out the person that's going to help you out.
You can't do it on your own.
What happens is for us, our self-talk can anytime just go back to us, backfire and say, hey, I can take a break one day today. That's fine. I can wake up 10 minutes late. That's fine. So we need someone, a coach or a practitioner, to help us, guide us, and make us accountable. So you want to make sure we have that person, which is basically a neuro-linguistic practitioner or a coach. Or
so you can't do it on yourself?
You can do, but I would still suggest it will depend on what kind of goals it is. For example, as little goal as, like, for example, losing weight had been one of a really, challenging thing for me forever. I always thought I'm big bone, really chubby, and this and that, all the stuff that I used to make up. And then I tried several times and I failed. But then I was like, okay, I'm trying this too. I give it a try. I get my results. So you can try, but what happens is, if it is on the basic levels, that's okay. But when it escalates up to having anxiety, having all these guilt, hurt, all these emotions, you don't want to, risk that.
Yeah. Okay.
Because what happens is, you're already in this place where, you are 50 to 80% of your self-thoughts are not good enough to protect you. If you leave it by yourself, you could be motivated for 5 days, 10 days. What about the other days? So to go from that 0 you to 100% of you, that best version of your, you need someone to make you accountable, to direct you, to guide you, So that's why we need someone to be there who is an expert in that area. And you find that person. And the third thing is, definitely, you need to be able to commit to yourself.
Yeah.
You cannot have someone on board. For example, if I would have a client, I cannot get a client who is not ready to work and just, throws out money in my face. I can't do that, because end of the day, that person is going to do the work.
Exactly.
That person's supposed to be ready. So you can't do that. So basically 3 steps, that's what I would say. First thing is, where you want to be and where you are. Second thing is, get your practitioner. And third thing is, be ready to commit.
Yeah.
Do your want is more than who you are today? Do you want to be that person that you have, visualized? How eager are you? Are you in 100% or are you 99? If you're 99, sorry, you can go back. That's how you have to, have that talk and thought.
You need to be ready.
Then only you get the results.
Yeah, you need to be able to do what needs to be done, to get up that, which isn't easy again. Which wouldn't be easy, I guess, right?
It's not, but it can be easy. It can be easy. That's where neuro-linguistic programming comes to play. How it becomes more easier and fun is because, like, we have different levels of our brain. Simply, let's just say, conscious and unconscious. So what happens with our conscious mind also our controls, different areas of brain that, you know, are already, you know, linked with doing the same thing all the time. Okay. And our unconscious also, you know, looks after those part of the brain. So what happens is there is this whole conflict going on because unconscious does not communicate directly. It communicates indirectly, which meaning, for example, let's say, oh, I want to sleep extra 5 minutes in the morning. Your conscious brain is saying, hey, get up, go and do that. But unconscious is still like, oh, you know, because it doesn't have a language to talk to. So it's not going to tell you anything. Even though it controls, it doesn't say anything.
Okay.
So what you got to do is you got to trick that unconscious, you know, to actually activate, to make you get out of the bed. So it might sound a little like, you know, rough and tough to understand, but the end goal is to make sure that your unconscious is ready to activate like that. For example, what our heart does, pumps the blood. So it isn't something that consciously it's done. It's unconsciously done. It just, you know, activates itself. There's a certain loop. It goes down there. Again, it pumps and again it throws. That's how it does. So we want to make sure that our habits are like that. What are habits? Basically, habits are a certain, you know, pathways in our neurosystems. You know, a certain loop that it actually goes and does. And, you know, for example, brushing your teeth. Brushing your teeth when you're a kid must have been tough. It wasn't easy. You might have cried. Well, when I had my previous flatmate, we had this 2-year-old little girl. Oh my God, there's a huge scream and fight going on in the morning and before the bed. So it wasn't easy. But now what happens when you don't brush, you feel like, oh my God, something's happening. You're very uncomfortable.
Something missing. Yeah.
You don't feel like it's something hard to do. How did you install that? Number of time of practice?
The repetitive, same thing again and again.
Exactly. So what happens is we do repeated actions plus, because what happens 0 to 7 years of the age, it's very, is the age where, before I was talking about this critical factor, critical factor is not built in. So what happens is whatever you say, the brain easily takes in. Just absorbs. It's like, you know, that sponge. Just
it's always easy to learn anything.
Yeah, that's it. So, but after 7, slowly the critical factor starts to build up. And after 16, you hit, it's kind of like a little solid. So now it gets tougher. So for us, young adults, it's getting more harder for us to actually switch into new habits or new patterns. So that's where the challenge comes in. So these tools actually help you, you know, bypass that critical factor and actually install the things that you actually need to be installed so that you can be that best version of you, you know, and achieve those goals that you actually want to achieve. So that's where neuro-linguistic programming comes to play.
Do you have like any examples of like how someone might have used this to do things? Because I do have one actually, I just saw recently. So let me just share mine, then maybe if you have something we can always share that. I was just watching this video where they were talking about like how they actually trained snipers using this programming, you know. So they actually got, so there was something, I don't know exactly what it was, just a short video, like, but there was like army training for sharpshooters or whatever, where only 20% used to pass in a time period of like 4 weeks or something. So what I think it was, again, the Tony Robbins that you said, Anthony Robbins, his name was Anthony Robbins, and Richard Bandler or something like that. So US government actually, US government actually hired them, and actually they took out 5 of the best top snipers, and they used this neuro-linguistic programming to see what are those 5 people actually doing, not only like how they are shooting, but what are they thinking emotionally, physically, how are they reacting to things, and each and everything, considering all of those factors. And they somehow narrowed it down to 7 days, from 4 weeks to 1 week of time, and they could see an improvement rate of like 80% used to like pass instead of just 20%. So that's the kind of thing you can actually achieve from neuro-linguistic programming, right?
Exactly. It accelerates the time. So like this, if I like how I said 3 steps, first you visualize what you want, because you need to have a clear intention on your goal. Otherwise, you know, your brain does not know what it wants. So you got to give it direction. When you know this is what I want, second, go find a coach, go find a practitioner. Third thing, be committed. That's it. you'll get your goal, definitely.
But one of the main problems we have is it's hard to start, like that you're already in a shit situation, but somehow something is actually blocking you from like getting out of that. How does mind work to actually do that?
Okay, so what happens is while we are grown up, like I said, 0 to 7, we catch up all the beliefs. Yeah, we are like a little sponge, and we just absorb as much as we can. So in that process, we don't know what we absorb. So these are the things when you, like, for example, young adults, there is a lot of, pressure, socializing, doing things that they love to do. Most of the young adults, like especially back home, we are like, okay, this is what you got to be. That's what the parents would say, or the friends would say. They would do it. People don't have capacity to say no. In their relationship, most of the times, they're not able to commit, or with their own, like, parents, they wouldn't be able to communicate much. Siblings, having all these here and there issues. So all this, narrowing down to all these little things in your life. Why are you acting certain way? Or why am I acting? Why my sister's acting? Or why you're acting? Or why my friend is acting? It's because we came up with this belief system somewhere. And it's
throughout
actually
our lifetime.
They are monitoring us. Like we talked about this before, our brain, our brain cannot take everything at once. It does absorb, but it, distorts the thing that's not needed.
Yeah.
So it only takes things that's needed. So how we text is based on the beliefs we actually picked up. Hey, I had this 0 to 7 years of age. So this is something that's relatable. Okay.
Somehow we don't realize that, I guess, like it because there was this example, like when the guy asked, like, when you think of like someone getting beaten, what you think of, or something like that. And what clicked on to me was like there are different kinds of fightings, beatings, and everything, but all that I could think at the moment was how my father used to slap me. So it's something like it has been there. You're saying the same thing, right? How it has been there from the childhood.
So what happens is your brain likes to pick up the things that it absorbed. For example, someone talking about their story got you related to your relationship with your father and the things that happened to you. So that is what happens with every human being, So we need to now understand the basics. So this is the basics. So you need to, like, for example, once I remember, I saw this whole dream, the dream I saw, like, I was wishing that I would die. And the other day I just woke up and I was so much, in frustration. Was like a kind of like a few years ago. And I was like, why am I wishing myself to die? And there must be something. Oh my God, the meaning of dreams. Oh God.
Do you used to have like recurring dreams, or was it just a once in?
No. It's just all of a sudden random dream that I had. And now what I thought next day, whole day is like, oh my God, what does this dream mean? There is something, oh my God, I'm not going to live long, or what? So all this thought came to me. And then now when I look back into why I gave those thoughts and why my whole, like a week or something, I was just like, struggling. The reason was because when I was young, like I was told like dreams have meaning. And when you see this kind of dream means this and this is going to happen to you. Yeah. That's what I was told. So now I see this means this is going to happen to me. So I'm suffering my past, actually. I'm not suffering my present. This thing already happened in the past. But I amplified it. My brain amplified it. So now, if I'm in this situation today, what I would do is, okay, I saw this dream. That's okay. It's a part of like, thought process. For example, like we're having this conversation before, if our leg's job is to walk, our brain's job is to create thoughts. Thoughts, yeah. If you keep a little extra energy on it, it's going to amplify it. So I'm like, okay, bugger it. It's just a dream. It will go away. Somewhere, these flickering thoughts come and go. So if I give energy to it, what will happen? Again, all the story I'll relieve my past, and I'll feel those emotions of nervousness, anxiety, or like all these things. And what happens is all these kind of emotions are basically the chemicals inside our body. So these chemicals are not going to do any good to you. So, the outcome or the, the, what you call, gist of this is you need to understand where it is coming from. You need to understand that when it's something that you don't need, I think try not to think about it. There could be thoughts coming. Thought coming does not mean thinking. Thinking means when you give energy to it and you go and you're like scratching and having a look at it. Don't do that. Let it just pass by. Take extra one nice to breathe in and out. That's
something that's hard to do, man. And one of the best ways you can learn how to do that is through the breathing exercise, meditation. Although meditation is a very vast term, as we discussed before. Like when you say meditation,
also, like you said, it's hard to do. You know why it's hard to do? There's another thing. Because we haven't done the work that needs to be done. We are giving power to our past to come here, knock door anytime, and then again, make us go through all the emotions. For example, someone telling some stuff about their story and you being triggered with your relationship with your father. Why did it happen? Now you can feel all this stuff. So why is this happening is because that work hasn't been done. That letting go, that forgiveness has not been done.
I don't think it's about forgiving that situation. I don't think with this, because we are talking about my example, it's not about not being forgiving. What you're saying is kind of different from what I'm saying, because it's actually related to me. What you're saying, I can understand that. Like,
no. For example, the meaning could be you saying, okay, what he did could be right. For example, I also got like a lot of slapped by my grandfather. Like I grew up with my grandparents. I'll be like, if I don't study on time, don't complete my homework on time, that's what I'm getting. A lot of it sticks. Well, now I feel like that time I was very angry and mad, but now I feel like I'm very grateful that this happened.
Me
now,
too.
like, I can go and give back the credit.
Yeah.
So this is the work we have done. You have done the same thing. Let's say, for example, but there are people, for example, let's relate to my own parents. My father, and my grandfather, they don't have really great, relationship at all. So all the time the blame game is you didn't do this, you didn't do that. So what is happening there is basically they haven't let go. They haven't switched the meaning. We could switch the meaning saying this happened to me. That's why I'm grateful that, that because that happened, today I'm in this better position, Maybe if that wouldn't have happened, then I wouldn't be the person that I am today. But what I have seen with my parents is they did not take it in that way. So now every time when we talk about this stuff, they'll be like feeling the same amount of, rage and anger and all these emotions. And not only that, they are disturbing themselves, but they're not allowing themselves to feel that love, that kindness, and be present and, let go of stuff and move forward. You're holding back. So that is basically the thing that you have to do with all the events. So that's where reflection comes to the play. Why people say reflect? Reflection is so important. Best to be done every day. If not, then once in a month or in a couple of weeks, is to work on these kind of little things that you have.
What do you mean by reflection actually? What do you mean by
reflection? Meaning you just go, you scan what happened. For example, let's talk about my last week. I ended up going late at work. And my coworker was very mad at me. And she was just like going on. And I was also pissed off. And I was like, oh my God, you could, like,
you let it go.
I'm not even that late. Like, I'm not even that late. It's sometimes it happens, like you can chill down. So I was like, I was like, oh my God, it's going to do a fantastic day. And then all of a sudden she comes and you're starting the day and you're like, oh God. But then I came home and I was still like having that little, pieces of emotions and the memories that I can. And then that weekend I sat down and I was just as I was doing my reflection, I thought of all the good and bad stuff or whatever went through, a little quick scan in my timeline. And I was like, okay, this is the thing that is still stalking me, So I just sat down and I thought, why did I feel that way? Reflection part one, like, how you do it is you think about the stuff that you did, your actions you took, or what circumstances you put into. And now you go, if there's something that's, holding you back and not letting you move forward, means you have to go and you have to see that thing, what it is in there. Let me just see, bits and pieces. So what I found is, okay, one thing is I don't like being told. Well, nobody likes. Maybe I was just having this whole expectation of that, okay, it's going to be good and all right. And all of a sudden, uncertain thing just happened to me. And the second thing is, where is my empathy gone? So I need to have empathy for her. Maybe she wasn't going through something, good in her life that, she just found a little thing. And then she was like, okay, thrust out everything. And her energy just poured out to me. So then I thought, okay, that's actually not my problem. Hang in there. That's not a problem. That's okay. There could be something that she might be going through. That's why she might, because she's not something who does like this all the time, So it's once in a while why she does this. So I thought, rather than being, holding myself tighter and, not letting myself feel the goodness, I told her maybe I would have a little more compassion for her, So I was like, okay, that's it. Hang in there. I let go of this, I would wish that she, whatever she's going through, goes it nice and softly, so that next time when I meet her, she's a better person. If not, then I hope good things happen to her.
Yeah.
So that was it. So then now I'm in at least a better place, saying that I wouldn't be mad at her. So that's how you let go. So these kind of little activities, when you do, there could be some, big activities. For example, with my own sister, like one of my sisters, she's really mad at me. It's been like a few months. We haven't been communicating. It's a lot of dramas, like family drama that happens. So you could be experiencing this too. So then I was also mad at her for a little while. And then I was like, okay, again, let me just, open the whole thing up. Let's go in there. Why? Where it is coming from. And then I was like, okay, I shouldn't be holding this, for me. I do respect myself. I love my sister, but I shouldn't be holding this. I'm ready to talk to her when she's ready. But I still want to send my love and light to her so that when she's ready, I'm already there for her. So imagine if everybody works on that reflection part, how easy it's going to be untangle all these emotions that is there. So that's where you do all these little works. So that what happens is you clear a lot of weed out there.
You can do that because you have learned this neuro-linguistic programming, you know about these things. But when you put yourself in the shoes of like a normal person, they somehow don't know about this, How can someone like that start doing this, like analyzing and like it's for people who like normal people who don't know about this or who are not interested in this. It seems like an alien thing to them because I have told like someone, like these things, and sometimes some of their reaction is like, do you really actually sit down and analyze your emotions and everything? They ask that kind of question. There's that part always. So how can like someone that...
Not only that, I'll tell you what you are being told. I recently, my friend literally told me that, oh, that's only a thing that saints do.
Saints are, you gone crazy maybe,
Yeah. Even though he's a great friend. So this is what I got told. So I totally understand. So what I would see is in a little bigger level, okay? Not talking about all these things. What I see this is, I don't want to be too political, but if this thing actually are taught in a school as a part of a health and well-being program, I guess this is going to minimize a lot of mental health issues, relationship issues, financial issues, all sort of issues that they are filtered out, So
do you think like kids would be able to understand this thing? Even being an adult, if you can't understand, do you really think kids will understand that?
Do you think kids are incapable to understand? Remember what they are. They don't have critical factor. It's just in the build-up process. They're able to observe. For example, what you do is you don't actually have to go and understand it straight away. For example, I don't know about you. For me, I would say like, when we were taught, this is our, different kinds of body systems. This is how your circular system is, like all these circulatory system, respiratory system. I was like, what are you talking about? You just, memorize it. That's it. but it made sense going on in life. So we don't want to make sure that they get it straight away, but we want them to have it somewhere in the back of the brain, to have it as a backup. When they grow up, when they flourish, they have all these tools with them. That's why we need those kind of programs in that
makes
level.
More sense, yeah.
So I would strongly urge the governments to think about it and, have their own panels and research done. And definitely this is going to bring a better outcome than, someone like, for example, it's good that, they're investing a lot in mental health and well-being, but I think that's not enough. It needs to go back, back to back with like, all this work from like, secondary school or whenever they want to keep, so that the kids, while growing up, they already are backed up with this stuff.
Since you taught into the mental health space, why do people first, what is mental health? You hear people talking mental health. What is actually the mental health, or what is actually the mental health issue?
So mental health, I think, has different aspects to it. For example, what I would say is that if we talk in terms of chemicals, hormones, there's this whole thing where psychiatrists use drugs, like prescribe medications to balance our hormones, so that those hormones are actually the results of emotions that we feel. So that's how I would talk in terms of drugs and like hormones. So there's another part where therapists, psychologists, they all come into play, neuro-linguistic programmers, and all hypnosis, everything comes into another part. So basically mental health is nothing more than the way you think, the way you feel, and where you at that state, so that's what I would call a mental health, to simplify. But yeah, like again,
basically how you're feeling emotionally, or what are your thought process, how does your thought process look like, what does it make you do, that's basically what is mental health, right?
Basically your emotions and your thought process, how they are. That's what mental health is, because end of the day, like I said, you can talk in terms of chemicals that are actually imbalance in all our chemicals in our body, especially in our brain, and also if we don't want to talk about that part, we can talk about this, like how you feel, or what are your emotions like. That's mental health, okay? And what an average human being, what kind of emotions they need to have, what kind of feelings they need to feel. And if it goes out of that, means there's an issue. So that's what it's like, mental health issues.
Basically, any issue or any thought process, any emotions that you might have that is actually causing you to have those negative emotions or negative thoughts, that's a mental health issue, right?
So I wouldn't say it's all negative, because again, this thing comes to play. So for a human survival, you need negative things. So you can't just be like, okay, I have got like, something coming up and I have like, I'm feeling anxious. Doesn't mean like, oh my God, I have this mental health issue and like, I need to see someone and get things like that. No, it's not like that. You need healthy amount of, those little thoughts that are actually going to pull you out of your comfort zone and get things going. So what happens is everything done in right, proportion is actually good. So we didn't have negative thoughts like that. We, for example, human existence continues long time ago. So we did not just have comfortable, house to live, food to eat. We used to be out in jungle. We had all these stone age and industrial, all these things that we crossed because here we are. So basically our survival needs this thing. So that's why we have those. But we need to make sure that it does not surpass more. Because remember, for example, if you're having negative thoughts, it's actually trying to protect your physical body. Okay? And you need to be calming that thought, saying, hey, I am safe. It's just a situation, I am safe. It's just a situation, but I can look after the situation. Don't worry about it. That's how your self-talk needs to be. Okay, because like I said, survival. That's why it's there for.
It's normal to have negative thoughts. It's normal to have negative emotions.
It is normal. But then when it scares off your existence, you know, when it goes beyond that control, that's when you are like, okay, you know, it's a red flag, needs to be done straight away. Because you never know, negative thought could be something else, you know. There could be something going on with your chemicals in your body. It could be generating that, and you might need someone expert in that area, psychiatrist or someone who can help you out to balance that.
Yeah. So
that's what
from
I would
the
say
perspective
from,
of the
mental health and mental health issues.
From the perspective of neuro-linguistic programming, what is actually happening when a person is having some kind of mental health issue?
Well, from the perspective of neuro-linguistic, what we say is basically mental health is like, what we do is, for example, if I have a client, for me, we actually have a little test that we do. So, so if that person, you know, passes that score, then that's we take them as a client. If not, then we refer them to psychiatrist or mental health expert in those areas that he needs or she needs. What I would say is anxiety, hurt, guilt, shame, low confidence, undecisiveness and stuff. Where they come from is, these are the little chatter things in your brain somewhere, you know. So these are the things that actually, you know, slowly, you know, gather up. And from this little thing to they just become like massive. And then that's where it goes into like bigger stuff, like massive anxiety, depression, you know. So what happens with neuro-linguistic, you want to cut it out, weigh it out in very, you know, little baby stage. For example, you're having undecisiveness. We want to make sure that this pattern of undecisiveness, you know, is taken out of you. And decisive pattern is installed inside of you. We want to make sure all these little anxious feelings that you're having before your interview or your career or your exams or whatever you're doing, want to make sure that you are not, you know, bundling up. I want to make sure that it's actually taken care of in its baby stage. So it's pretty much doing that work on the ground level so that it doesn't chunk up and, you know, it imbalances your whole, you know, like hormones and, you know, makes it big chaos. You want to work on that really fine level.
That basically again come back to doing reflection of yourself, right? That's the ground, like figuring out at the ground level and not letting it go further. Also, another point that you touched on was about, you know, feeling guilt, jealousy, anger, whatever that is. There is this saying that jealousy, or, you know, even with anger, let's say, jealousy or anger is a kind of a poison that actually affects the vessel it's put in, you know, because poisons are generally the kind of thing which affects another person or another living being. It doesn't affect the vessel it is in. You know, but anger or jealousy is a poison that affects the person or the vessel it is in. So it's always a good idea to let go of feelings like that.
So what happens is, basically, like I said, these are the things, you don't only feel those, you know, you don't only feel those emotions, you actually
you try to avoid it.
Yeah, in your blood, it's actually running because that amount of chemicals inside, they're like, you know, up and down. So they're actually triggering. So that's what happens, you know, so we want to make sure that you are not poisoning your body. You know, it's not only like you're poisoning your thoughts and you're feeling difficult, but it's also like, you know, you're not only hampering your little brain, but you're hampering all parts of your body. You're poisoning it. So you want to make sure that you let go out of your whole system. So letting go out of your whole system is get out of that, you know, little brain that you have, so that later on, you know, you feel more healthier and, you know, rejuvenating, and, you know, you get to experience life more deeply.
Yeah. And a place to start for all of this is, again, meditation, but breathing meditation for me, because that has worked for me. I have been doing it for like a month now. Some days I don't do it. It's like in a week, maybe there would be a day or two where I don't do it. Otherwise, I'm always doing it. And somehow it has helped me to, you know, do that thing, reflection, or whenever there is a negative thought in my head or negative emotion in my head, because of doing that breathing exercise for like 10 to 15 minutes every day, somehow I'm able to do the process of letting go that you just said. How, like, when I'm doing that breathing exercise and meditation, there are lots of thoughts that are coming in my mind, but I just accept all of those thoughts. It's like a normal thing. It comes, it goes. You just focus on your breath. That that somehow helps you do the same things in daily life. If you just keep on doing it for like 10-15 minutes for a long time, I guess somehow, again, you train your subconscious memory or whatever, but you somehow are able to figure out, okay, I'm starting to have this negative thought, I'm starting to have this negative emotion. And that's how I have been able to, like, you know, like, predict it beforehand and not let it go further. Because right now in this COVID situation, lockdown situation, like, because I remember 2019, 2018, if I was home for like 2 weeks of time during the Christmas vacation or whatever, I always had that, you know, like, negative feeling or depressive feeling all the time. But somehow this time, again, the other thing that I do is I keep on getting busy, so there is no time for thinking unwanted thoughts. The other thing that has helped me this time is the meditation, the breathing exercise that I have been doing. Somehow it has helped me to reflect on myself better, to know my emotions and thoughts better, and root it out before it gets bigger.
Absolutely, yeah. That is something that one can do to, you know, bring that consciousness within you. So the idea of breathing meditation is nothing more than just to bring that consciousness within your different parts of your body and being present. So the whole idea is for your body to feel more healthier and, you know, to work in a better way. When you are thinking something, for example, your energy is going outwards. So, but when you are just concentrating on your breathing, what are you doing? You're using that concentration energy in yourself. It's inward. The more you pull it inwards, that's where you're present. That's where you actually know clearly. It's clearly as that. Your focus is there, and now you can see what thoughts are coming through, you know. So it just comes and goes, and you can actually see it's coming and going, and you can navigate what's good and what's bad. And with time and practice, then if you keep on doing this another 3 months, you're going to be pro at it, and you'd minute know that where this is coming from.
Also,
that's the power of breathing meditation.
Yeah,
it not only heals you because your energy is inside, it means it's healing you. It also, you know, helps improve your concentration, focus on things that you'll be doing in future, because you're already aware of what kind of thoughts are, and your brain's going to find it more easier to concentrate.
Yeah,
because that thought before came in and you had the power to see.
The other thing I was thinking about was, like, somehow that has also helped me to look at things from a third person's perspective, you know, like someone outside whoever you are, you know, like you can always take example of your idol or someone else. The thing is that you just get out of the box and see it from outside and actually absorb it instead of reacting to those, you know, like negative feelings and emotions out there. Breathing exercise has also helped me with that, actually.
Absolutely. Like I said, you not only absorb, you know, your different parts of your body and your breathing pattern, but with that, you observe the thoughts that are flowing around you. And slowly with that thought, what you can see with a bird eye view, you can actually see what's actually happening with time. And you'll get better at this once you practice, keep on practicing more and more. And I'm glad it's already helping you a lot, but with time, it's going to help you even more. Trust me. And also, you know, being able to connect with yourself, meaning you can connect with whatever you are doing. You know, you are going to make all areas of your life more better by another, let's say, 20 to 30% more. That's what it's going to be.
This is something that I've always believed in. Tell me from your perspective what you think about it. I would suggest anyone out there to at least go out there and live on your own for like at least 6 months or so. On your own. Like, you cook your own food, you do your own thing, your own stuff, you're paying your own rent. And somehow that would help you to actually talk to yourself. Because when you're living on your own, you have to make decisions. You have to do things, you know, basically make decisions. And at that time, you actually talk to yourself. You know yourself better when you live on your own. What's your take on that?
Look, there's two things. Like I said, you can, it's up to you, because everybody, it doesn't have to be like everybody should take the same path. So if you think that's right for you, you can go for it. But like I said, but then if you have some other better ways to do it, because the end goal is you being present with yourself. That's what we are after with doing all these things. So for example, whoever is living with their family or something, let's say someone has a family, they have kids and everybody, you know, what are they going to do? They can't go in 6 months, you know, away from the family. So doesn't matter where you are, you can actually sit down, give yourself 5 to 10 minutes, relax, just think about yourself. Don't think about any other stuff. Think about yours. I mean, just observe the thoughts. Breathe, observe the thought. Breathe, observe the thought. And also, if you think there are things that are actually coming up and needs to be worked out, you go and get practitioners, and you just, you know, take it out of the system and you install new things. So if you keep on doing that stuff, what happens is ultimately, in coming days, you actually know, you know, you'll have clarity on what you want, and you'll know what are your limitations. Like we said, some people, you need to know where your limitations are. So you know, these are my limitations. Not limitation in a sense like not a good limitation, but in boundaries. This is my boundary. I have it because I love myself, and this is what I can do. Because if I don't have boundaries, means my energy is just going everywhere. Yeah. And remember, we always have finite energy. We can't just be spending it on everything. So you keep boundaries in those areas. You keep, you know, that's how you become a better version of yourself. And you enjoy your life more deeply.
Yeah. I think for me, I think that's only for me again, coming to back.
Like I said, everybody can do it in their own way. If that's what it works for you, go and do it. Yeah. You know? But then, like I said, everybody has their own thing, own life situation. And depending on the situation, you find out how it works for you.
I like to somehow, like, you know, like force myself to do things, because there are times when I need like something like a goal or something, you know, that would keep on motivating me.
With that, when you said you like to force something, so when did you actually pick yourself this decision that you like being forced?
No, it's not like I like being forced. It's like I force myself to do things, you know, like I like to play guitar, right? Let me give me an example.
Why did you want that?
Huh?
Why did you choose to be forced?
Because that would help me to grow, because that would actually make me to do that thing that I love to do. I'll give you an example. So, just for like, what I mean to say with this is that...
No, I actually got that. Here, what we're trying to say is, you actually picked up, this is for me. That's what we're talking about. You picked up, I like myself to be forced so that I can take this action. Remember, but some people don't like to be forced. There are people like that. For example, me, I don't like to be forced. That's why I had to find out all these different ways to do things. So last year I had to program whole hypnosis thing, because I was like, I don't want to force myself, but I want it to go slowly and deeply so that I can take action.
But you force yourself to actually go out and take that class, right?
Yeah, but what happens is, you, like, you know, some people just like to be forced and do it. For example, like you said, you go out 6 months, you go do it, goddamn do it. You know, for me, I would rather be like, okay, how to skip that, you know, rough and tough part is you can actually go and work on your brain and, you know, insert those all little thoughts using hypnosis and reprogram your brain. And what happens is, if you will see in like a couple of weeks, your thought patterns change. And remember what I said? Who you are is actually what kind of self-talk you do with yourself. So in that way, what happened is I became more comfortable doing things and taking right actions to lose weight. So that's what it means. So for you, you would choose to take it in a more aggressive way. That's all good, because that's your choice. That's also a choice. It's not like you'll always be that person. It's your choice. You made it. But you can always switch to something else and try to do it in a different way.
Yeah, of course you can do it in a different way. What I mean when I say that is that you find a way to do things that you have to do, you know, like sometimes, as I said, let me give you an example. When I say that I like to play guitar, but somehow I wouldn't do that if there is not a concert to play in or there is a program to play in, you know. So I try to find the program. I force myself. It's not, maybe force isn't the right word. I find the programs, I find the concerts, and I take part in it. I force myself to take part in it so that I would go and play the guitar, which I already love. It's like finding reasons to do things, because you wouldn't generally do it just like that. But if you have a particular reason for that, you would do it.
It's reason, and then another thing is, again, it comes to that part of you that's saying like, this is difficult, so I want to find alternatives so that you can. And remember, when we say something is easy or difficult, is because somewhere back in
it depends
like
upon
past,
the person. It's subjective.
Yeah, we took this belief that this is going to be a little tough for ourselves. We did not actually just come up saying like, okay, for example, I like playing guitar, but I only like it during concerts. You like playing guitar is one belief that you picked up. Second belief is you picked up saying, I like it, but playing only in concert. That's the second thing that you picked up.
Okay, so that's basically my two beliefs.
Yeah. So these are the beliefs. So when now you go like, okay, I like playing guitar, but I want this. So now you're finding alternative paths so that you can like still play guitar and still like, engage yourself and do the thing. But this little but is, like there. All I mean to say is the idea is, like you said, go take the action, but also be mindful that this is something that I picked up and I chose. And I'm going to find some alternative solution and I can do it. Because I have seen a lot of people that are stuck. They're like, oh, yes, let's go and, do this adventure. Let's go and do the hike. But these people never even show up. They love doing hike, but never show up. Like I've got friends that actually do that. So why do they do that? You love, but then there's a but. So there's what happens. They love the thing, but there's another belief that's actually holding them back. I'm glad that you're already finding things and like, looping yourself around and then, okay, taking it, overcoming it, things. But then there are people that they don't understand that these things are actually a belief. You like it, you go for it, but you don't have to be harassed on yourself, being hard and harsh on yourself. There are alternatives that you can work out to let go of that, things that stop you from doing those stuff. And there you go and release it, let go of that thing that holds you back. And then here we go. What if we can say that but that you said, but I like to do only in concert. What if that but goes away? Imagine how would you feel? You would be playing guitar regardless of if there is a concert or not.
Yeah, I wonder if that would
That's
happen.
what you would do.
Yeah.
But then, like I said, if you're happy and comfortable having that but, that's okay. But if you think that's something, for example, if you were a professional player, that but would not be suitable for you at all. You would have to let it go. So meaning, in a sense, neuro-linguistic programming actually helps you to get rid of all these little, blocks that comes.
Yeah.
So these are actually called limiting beliefs. So we kind of like chop it off, take it off the table. It's not needed. So here we go. That's how it's done.
It's basically that. It's basically saying that you can do anything. Anything is possible.
That's it.
It's about
For example,
your belief.
I even have. Right, exactly. And there's this beautiful lady who worked as Secret Service agent for CIA. Her name is, I think, Avi Pomporis.
No,
I think it starts with E, but I think it's Avi Pomporis. I follow her on Instagram, and I even saw her interview and stuff. She talks about all this stuff that they use, CIA uses, to actually manipulate things, and get things done on time, and then accelerate human potential. That's how they do. So
yeah,
that's
neuro-linguistic programming for sharpshooters.
Absolutely. And even like they do a lot of stuff, human lie detectors, find out things. So there's like, this area is like kind of really broad. I'm kind of like just not even in level 1. That's what I would say.
Okay, but we know what we know. Okay, we are not experts, but we know things more than, you know things more than just general me, like our normal people. You have studied that, so you know more than us.
I studied, maybe that's why, but yeah, that's my passion too.
Exactly. That's why you are an expert for someone like me who doesn't know any shit.
I think, we all have our areas of expertise.
Yeah, of course. We talk from what we know, again, from what beliefs we have, what we have learned so far, you know. Yeah. It was great, man. It was great to talk to you, Sunayana. It was great to talk about all this neuro-linguistic programming. I wish everyone would know about this, and if only everyone were able to use this in their daily lives, you know. How wonderful would that be?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Bikesh, for having me. And yeah, I'm glad that I got to share what I know. And definitely to the people out there, if you need any sort of help in letting go of all those limiting beliefs that you have, I'm happy to help or guide you towards right experts that can help. And also never think that you're by yourself. You know, everybody is, going through some stuff in their life all the time. You know, it's just where you are at, but everybody's going through it. Everybody feels the same emotions, so don't hesitate. Ask. It takes a lot of guts though, but ask.
Yeah, of course. That's a good note to end this on. Thank you very much, Sunayana, for your time today. See you.
Bye.
If you like this video, hit subscribe. You can listen to the full podcast in YouTube, Anchor, Apple Podcasts and Spotify.